On GAP News, Alps witness found girl bleeding and moaning. An RAF cyclist who was the first witness on the scene after 3 members of the Al-Hilai family were shot dead in the French Alps has spoken publicly about his experience of finding the bodies. Also, protesters demonstrating against an anti-Islam film made in America have attacked and entered the grounds of the US Embassy in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. On tonight's programme, police caught on camera at 7:30 p.m. ITV1. And woman admits stealing illusionist Derren Brown's cheques. Welcome to GAP News, I'm Jessica Reeves. An RAF cyclist who was the first witness on the scene after 3 members of the Al-Hilai family were shot dead in the French Alps has spoken publicly about his experience of finding the bodies. Brett Martin told BBC News that his opinion slowly changed from whether it was a car accident or a shooting at the secluded car park close to Lake Annecy. The BMW's engine was still revving and its wheels were still spinning, in which he decided to then break the window to turn off the ignition. It was then he discovered the bodies of engineer Saad Al-Hilai, 50, his dentist wife Iqbal, 47, and her mother. Close by, 7-year-old Zainab Al-Hilai was prone on the road, moaning, sort of semi-conscious, Mr. Martin added. He said he realised that injuries did not match the body and that something more sinister had occurred. Mr. Martin then went on to say how he faced a dilemma leaving the 7-year-old in order to get help. Along with 3 family members, a 4th body was also near the scene. Sylvain Molliet, 45, the French cyclist who reportedly stumbled across the attack, lay on the ground. At the time, there was no signs of Al-Hilai's younger daughter, 4-year-old Zina, who had been cowering underneath her mother's body during the brutal attack. Mr. Martin has been credited for potentially saving Zainab's life. The child, who was shot in the shoulder and badly beaten around the head, is now recovering in hospital. Protesters demonstrating against an anti-Islam film made in America have attacked and entered the grounds of the US Embassy in Yemeni capital of Sana'a. The outer cordon of the embassy building was breached after it was stormed by hundreds of protesters. Demonstrators smashed the windows of security offices outside the embassy before breaking through the main gate of the heavily fortified compound in the east of the city. Yemen's embassy in Washington has said that no live ammunition was fired and that there are no reports of casualties. Witnesses are reporting that the soldiers, the Yemeni army, are marching beside protesters inside the US Embassy cordon towards the embassy building itself. There have also been a number of clashes outside the US Embassy in Cairo, Egypt. Rioters lit fires in the streets and threw rocks at the police. Speaking from Brussels, President Morsi condemned the insulting film that sparked the protests, but appealed for people to express their feelings peacefully. He also pledged to protect tourists and visitors. Video has become a vital tool for the police and crucial part of the job, but increasingly cameras are being turned against officers themselves. Presented by Geraint Vincent, Tonight has been given exclusive, unrivalled access during 2 of the biggest policing operations of the summer, an English Defence League protest in Bristol and a high-risk football match in Sheffield, to analyse the role video played in those 2 operations. In 2009, when a bystander filmed a Metropolitan Police officer striking Ian Tomlinson with his baton and pushing him to the ground during the G20 summit protest, it raised question marks and challenged the police's conduct during high-profile situations. The video was watched by millions and provided crucial legal proceedings that followed, as the newspaper seller died soon after his contact with the police. This evening's Tonight programme looks back at that story and features an exclusive interview with Chris Ladrine, the American businessman who captured the moment on camera when Tomlinson was pushed to the ground by PC Simon Harwood. Ladrine looks back at the incident, and Paul Lewis, special projects editor of The Guardian, who published Ladrine's video footage on the newspaper's website, recounts events which followed after the publication of the material. For the full investigation and exclusive interviews, watch Tonight Police Court on Camera at 7:30 p.m. on ITV1. Now, illusionist Darren Brown has tweeted, he should have seen it coming, shouldn't I?" after the performer's cleaner admitted stealing cheques from his home. Rocio Pavon Navarrete, 47, took 2 signed cheques from Brown's home while he was away. Co-accused Bernard Ironbanjo, 48, went on trial for fraud after it was alleged he received the cheques from the cleaner and paid them into his bank account. Brown sat in the public gallery during the proceedings at Southwark Crown Court, wearing a brown suit, white shirt and a black tie. Pavon Navarrete of Bardsley Lane, Greenwich, broke down in tears after pleading guilty to 1 charge of theft. She will be sentenced on the 11th of October, and Judge David Higgins warned her she could be jailed. Ironbanjo of Waverley Road, Woolwich, has pleaded not guilty to 2 charges of fraud. Bethan Charnley, prosecuting, told the jury that he is accused of taking the cheques worth £21,550.35 and £11,500 from Pavon Navarrete and paying them into his own bank account between October and December 2010. The cheques were signed by James Cooper, Mr Brown's manager, but were left blank and stored at his home in Baker Street, central London, for use by his assistant while Brown and Mr Cooper were away on business, Miss Charnley. At some point between April 1st and June 30th, 2010, these cheques were stolen by the cleaning lady who is called Rocio Pavon Navarrete, and she pleaded guilty to an allegation of theft. These cheques were later presented at the Cooperative Bank. They were by that point filed in with the details you see before you, and subsequently the money was transferred in the normal way and out of the account held at Coutts by Mr Brown, she said. He, the defendant, presented these cheques fraudulently and dishonestly, knowing he had no right to the money. The number of children being admitted to hospital in cases of Liquid-Tab burns.
Doctors are warning about the dangers of Liquid-Tabs used in washing machines and dishwashers after treating some children for near fatal injuries. The Royal Hospital for Sick Children in Glasgow has admitted 5 children this year, all under 2, who had either bitten into or squeezed the tabs. They suffered chemical burns to their eyes or throats. When liquid was swallowed, a tube had to be inserted to aid breathing until swelling in the airways was treated. Dr. Lindsay Fraser from the hospital's ear, nose and throat unit said, "We have known for some time about the risk of eye injuries from kids squeezing these liquid tabs until they burst. What we have seen more recently is that children are biting into the tablets, presumably because they think they are sweets, as they have the same soft texture and bright colouring. The alkaline chemicals in the Liquid-Tab cause an immediate chemical burn, causing breathing problems as the airway starts to swell rapidly. Getting them to hospital straight away is imperative. In most cases we've seen so far, we've had to insert a breathing tube to protect the child's airway from the swelling and help them breathe." Dr. Fraser said that if these children had not reached the hospital on time, their airway could have closed over completely with potentially fatal consequences. The medic added, Once the breathing tube has been inserted, children can be on a ventilator for anything up to 2 weeks whilst the swelling settles, and one child so far has required further surgery to repair the damage caused by the Liquitab. It really is only good fortune that we haven't seen a death resulting from this type of injury. Staff at the hospital have been alarmed by the number of children recently admitted as emergency cases. They have now published a letter to the Archives of Diseases in Childhood to alert medical colleagues and parents to the dangers of Liquitabs. Dr. Fraser said most Liquitab brands do not come packaged in a child-proof containers, so it is easy to access them, especially if they are left within reach and sight of young children or toddlers. Most parents are not aware of the dangers of these common household items, commonly storing them in unlocked cupboards within potential reach of their child. It is important parents realise that these liquid capsules are dangerous chemicals and that they should be kept locked away so children can't reach them. Shannon Hutchinson backed a hospital safety campaign after her daughter Orla swallowed the contents of a Liquitab at the age of 7 months. She said, "Orla was at my sister's house playing with my 2-year-old nephew who managed to get hold of one of these Liquitabs. He thought it was a sweetie, but because it was bright and like a jelly, so he gave it to Orla, who bit into it. Immediately we realised there was a problem, as she was going in and out of consciousness, so phoned an ambulance right away. It was terrifying. I'm just so lucky to still have my little girl." Orla was rushed to intensive care and spent 10 days in hospital. Since the incident, Shannon has said she has been much more careful about where her family are keeping Liquitabs. To kids they do look like bright sweeties and they are not in a sealed box. Kids can get into them so easily, so I had no idea what could happen until I saw what happened to Orla, she said. When we got to hospital, the doctors told me they see this 2 or 3 a year. Now I make sure that all the Liquitabs are locked away and I tell everyone to do the same. The boxes they come in really should be childproof, and I hope manufacturers do something about this, as I wouldn't want this to happen to any other little boy or girl. Just like Shannon Hutchinson had said, parents should check and perhaps double check where they are putting their liquid items, so that they are not in the reach of their own children. So the next time you pop one of your Liquitabs into your washing machine before starting a wash, or before pressing an extra option on your dishwasher as you have put in a Liquitab, think where you are storing them to, out of the reach of your children. It may be worth changing the type of detergent that you use. Washing powder, for example, is less likely to be attracted to children as it is just a simple white powder, but even this still has to be kept locked away, just in case. There are 3 types of powdered detergent. One in a green box, which contains bleaches and enzymes which can be used on a hygiene basis for towels, for example, and whites to keep whites looking their best. There is also a purple box. This is for colours. This does not contain bleach as to take the colour, so it does not take colour out of your darks and your colours. And sometimes there can be a blue box. This is non-biological, best for children with their sensitive skin, or just adults that do have eczema or the like. Powdered detergent can be used in many different washes. It does even these days dissolve in quick washes too. The only wash that it cannot be used for are for delicates, which are for silk and wool. In this case, an alternative detergent such as Woolite or Persil hand wash should be used, as these do not contain enzymes. Brands such as Ariel and Persil have still not come to justice yet whether to take the Liquitabs off the supermarket shelves. It is probably likely that they are not going to, as they trade in more than half of their sales in most supermarkets, despite liquid being harmful to your washing machine, which is known to many washing machine manufacturers, as it does clog up your machine. Obviously, manufacturers are not concerned about this as they are selling most of their products. Going back to the issue about Liquitabs, which is the most important thing here, and the box, I feel, should be changed. Most detergent manufacturers should look into better box hinges, opaque boxes so that children cannot see into the boxes and see the Liquitabs and be attracted to them, or simply putting on big warnings to parents to lock these detergents away. However, while this still goes on, it is obviously going to leave most companies in a spin. Gary Pendlebury, GAP News.
Now our general correspondent Gary Pendlebury joins us. Now Gary, what changes can be made to the packaging?
Well, basically, here is your average box of Persil here, and that has normally tablets in here. Now, I've used all mine just for this example. And basically, children can get into these boxes because they're just really simple to open. I mean, a simple click and you're in. Any children can easily get into that, very easily. Plus, as you can see into it from all angles, despite and children can see into these boxes, and it becomes a real issue because they've been biting into them and have been admitted to hospital, and the numbers are increasing ever so more. Same for dishwasher tablets as well.
What alternatives could be made?
Well, I have some alternatives here. Instead of using that, if you do like your liquid, there's Persil liquid in just a bottle which has a screw top which you can screw really tightly, and it makes it difficult for children to get into. Now, this can be quite expensive. This was, I think, up to £4 it can be, but you do get more washes than out of this. Now, another alternative, if you're using a dishwasher, is to have them in a box which has a good, you have to pull really hard on it to get into it. Plus, children won't be as susceptible to use them because they are wrapped. They're wrapped up very, very well.
They don't really look as appealing as the Liquitabs.
No, because there's no bright colours. That is, yes. Or, I don't know why people haven't stayed to it, because it's actually better for your machines. Just basic powder. Children are not as keen on powders as it's just a white crystal that it doesn't really appeal to children. Plus it has a very potent smell that usually keeps children and pets away from things like these.
Could there maybe be any warnings or?
Well, on this box, from a box of Liquitabs which was bought about 12 months ago, so it's an older box, it only has the warning of an irritant warning on it. There's no warning about what happens if children actually have swallowed it. It just says to seek medical advice. It's not big enough. It doesn't take your eye. Plus, in a sense, parents should just simply keep them locked away and away from children. It's common sense. I mean, you wouldn't leave your box of powder out next to your machine, on the floor next to your machine, if you have children, you know. It's just a good measure.
And finally, really, is there any difference in price alternatives or? Well,
a standard box of just your normal detergent. I mean, this one was on offer in Asda, the leading retailer, as this was £5, and that gives you 22 standard washes. Now, a box of these, they were originally £4. I'm not 100% sure how much they are now, but they vary between £2 and £4. So, to be honest, there isn't a great deal, and you can still wash at 30 degrees or less with this, because it does say on the side 20 degrees, 30, 40, right up to 95, even though this claims you can wash in cold water, but any detergent does tend to use to be better. Plus this one is good for quick washes but has the better opening on the top of it.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, that is it from us for tonight. The all-important weather forecast is next for the weekend ahead, and Gary has news updates throughout the evening for you tonight. Thank you very much for watching, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.